Well, hey there, changemakers. Welcome to the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast. I'm your host, Amy Van Meel, and I'm here to inspire and teach changemakers like you, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, and people who are doing big things in the world, some tips, tricks, things about business, and we're doing some personal growth on the way. With that, let's dive into today's topic. Well, hey there, changemakers. I feel like I should start off today's podcast episode with a yeehaw, because I just was out at Calgary Stampede. Now, I think the last episode I talked about the fact that right now is Calgary Stampede where I live in Calgary, Alberta. And by the time you're hearing this podcast episode, the Stampede will long be over already. I'm recording my episodes ahead because I'm taking some vacation time in a couple weeks. So if you're going to take vacation in your business, there is some pre-planning and pre-organizing that's required, which is what I'm doing. So I had the opportunity yesterday to go to the Calgary Stampede, and here is this blew my mind. I was super freaking excited about this. A friend of mine is on a volunteer committee. And so as part of one of the volunteer committees, she gets passes to see the rodeo, the Chuckwagon races, and the grandstand show. Now, I've lived in Calgary for 5 years. It has been on my list since I moved here to actually go to the Chuckwagon races and see a grandstand show. It's never worked out, whether it's been timing or budget, what have you. It just hasn't worked out for us so far, but it's always been on my list. And at the end of the grandstand show, it happens every night. So Calgary Stampede runs for 10 days. And at the end of the grandstand show, every night, they have a whole fireworks display. I love fireworks. I don't apologize for that at all. I will make no excuses or bones about it. I love fireworks. And the funny thing is, even if there's fireworks going off somewhere and I happen to miss them, I feel like I've missed out when I don't get to see them. So I love fireworks. They're one of my favorite things in the world. So even when we've gone to the Stampede in the past, my guy and I will stand. I always feel like we're the poppers looking in through the fence, but we'll stand on the outside. The grandstand is actually sectioned off, right? You need paid tickets to get in there and see the show. So we'll stand on the outside of the fence so that we can watch the fireworks. And it's my favorite thing every time that we go. So yesterday I had the opportunity to go to Stampede, be hosted by someone, which was a very cool experience to be hosted at the Stampede and to finally get to see the live show, the grandstand show at the end, to watch the Chuckwagon races. It was super fun. And as I was there, I was thinking about just the experience, and some different things came up. I'm like, I want to do a podcast about this and talk about, Chuckwagons and business. It might sound like they have nothing to do with one another, and you don't have to be in any kind of a Western-based business to get some great value out of today's podcast episode, but I'm excited about it. And so I wanted to share it with you while I'm in the moment and in the now. So I've come up with really 5 takeaways from my experience of being at the Chuckwagon races and the grandstand show, and how they interlay with business. So my business, your business, really all business in essence. Now, before I jump into those 5 things, I do want to take a quick moment here and just acknowledge the fact that I know there might be some of you listening that have a real issue with Chuckwagon races. The interesting thing, I always find this so intriguing, is that people who often have no experience with this type of sport and this type of business will look at it as a very brutal thing. And the truth is, it's a sport. The horses that are pulling the carts and the outriders are riding, they're athletes. It's really no different than watching a football game at the end of the day. Now, I understand that there's not very often someone dies in a football game, and unfortunately, there have been accidents. I know this year in Stampede alone, there's been 3 accidents already with the Chuckwagon races. And my point here is not to highlight the fact that, oh my gosh, this is super dangerous, but to actually just take a moment and acknowledge that these horses, they're riders, they're athletes. The horses love doing what they're doing. If you have any experience with farm animals, especially with working animals like horses or cattle, they love doing these things. So it's, if you're not convinced right now, you might be telling me, well, Amy, look, if you think that's what they love doing, that's great, but they don't. They actually do. And the truth is, if you think about it this way, I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. If you think about any high-performing athlete, choose any sport anywhere in the world and look at the highest performing athletes. They enjoy what they do because if they didn't, they wouldn't do it. And you might be thinking it's a long stretch to go from, a high performance athlete, a person who's consciously thinking and doing and has choices versus an animal. But the truth is, it's not really all that different because animal or not, if they didn't enjoy doing it, they wouldn't do it. Like their performance would not be at the level to be able to engage in high level competition, right? There's got to be heart and soul in it. This is true in all things. Your business is the same, actually. If there's no heart and soul for what you're doing, either the work that you're doing or the customers that you're serving, that will show. Your business won't do as well because the passion isn't there. So I do just want to make that quick point that it can definitely, accidents can happen. And unfortunately, there was an accident last night, which was 100% preventable. That one was a bit different than some of the other ones. But in the end, the animals love doing it. The horses love doing it. They have such a good time being out there competing. And really, it's like watching, anybody else who's out there competing in their sport at their highest level. So I just wanted to make that quick little note because there might be a few of you who are listening who are like, we're going to talk about chuckwagon races, Amy. I have such an issue with that. So that's where I'm at on that. And I know if you're already thinking chuckwagon races are a bit brutal, don't ever go to a rodeo because it's a thrill, let me tell you. It's quite amazing. I think people who are in rodeo, especially if you start getting into bronc-riding and bull riding, you have to be a special kind of crazy. But hey, people enjoy it. And I can't say in terms of like the bronc and bull riding what the animals are thinking, but it is an experience. And yeah, it's just cool. If you ever get the chance, I do recommend that you go and check it out. So let's jump into the 5 takeaways that I have from my experience of going to the chuckwagon races. And now bear in mind, this is not specifically just about the races, but the whole experience of being there. So my first takeaway is to take the opportunities given. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm working with a personal coach, and one of the things that we've been talking about is that I feel, and I'm sure there must be others of you that feel the same way, that when something comes easily to you, that it has less value, or that you need to somehow do something to make yourself deserving of it. So for the example from yesterday where I got to go to the chuckwagon races, I don't have to do anything to be deserving of going to the races. Now, I was hosted, so I got into the Stampede for free. I got to go see the grandstand show and the chuckwagon races for free. It didn't cost me anything to go to the Stampede. And the previous version of myself would probably be trying to figure out, okay, how can I repay this person? Now, over the years, something that I have been becoming more and more aware of, and in my awareness, it's usually around gifts. So if someone gives you a gift, that you are not required to give them a gift back. And that sometimes when you do that, you actually take away from the original intent of the gift that they gave you. So birthday gifts might be a little bit different, but let's say a friend of yours just gives you a gift out of nowhere, out of the blue. I saw this, I think you would love this, and I wanted to give it to you. If you look at that and think, oh my goodness, I immediately need to repay them, then it kind of takes away from the gesture that your friend wanted to make. So when I think about this, taking the opportunities given, in your business, you may have some opportunities that literally just come to you. You haven't had to work for them or do anything for them. They just show up. And if you feel like you need to be deserving of them or that you need to do something in order to be qualified to take this opportunity, you can either miss out or really burn yourself out because you're doing way more than you need to. This is still a concept that's becoming new, and it's settling into my brain, the idea that I'm inherently deserving, that I am valuable at the highest frequency, and so I don't need to go and do anything extra on top of. I know lots of different coaches and growth experts they'll share the example of a baby. When a baby is born, you don't expect that baby to do anything to be deserving of your love and attention. You just love it. That's all that, literally, just in its existing, it is inherently deserving of your love and attention. So the unfortunate thing is that we tend to forget about that. In our lives as we grow older, we think that we need to be deserving of things. I'm not going to get into the whole reason behind that, but I just want you to know that when opportunities come your way, like, for example, the opportunity for me to go to see the races in the show for free, if I feel like I need to somehow be deserving of it, it actually will take away from the experience. So I want to encourage you, if you're in your business right now and there's opportunities that are coming up, think about the fact that you can just take those opportunities. Accept them as a gift and be like, wow, thank you so much, universe, for taking care of me. This is amazing. So that was my first takeaway. My second takeaway, so I didn't know anything about chuckwagon races other than, like, there's a little bit that I understand about. There's the chuckwagon, and there's two outriders, and I understood a very basic understanding of it. So I learned a bit more about the race itself. And then this is something that I thought was kind of cool, was that the spectators they actually bet on the races. And I'm not talking like official, like horse betting. Like, I'm talking if you're going with a group of friends, let's say there's 4 of you, because there's 4 wagons that are racing. So let's say there's 4 of you, and each of you chooses a wagon, and you put like $1 in or a quarter on the wagon, what have you. And in the chuckwagon races, there are 9 heats. So there's 9 races. So you bet on each race. And then my understanding is, let's say you're betting on heat 1. Everybody puts in a loonie based on the wagon that they've chosen. Then the person who wins that heat, they get the loonies. And then the next heat, they bet again. So this is kind of fun. Now, my friend and I'm like, I literally have a nickel in my wallet. I have no cash on me. So we just did it for fun. But what was interesting to me, the first 3 races, now I'm still like wide-eyed staring at the screen. Holy crap, how is not everybody running into each other? Because it just looks like this complete mayhem on the infield when they're getting the race started. So I was a bit wide-eyed and kind of not paying attention and having a total designer moment where I'm like, ooh, the tack on that team is really quite pretty, or ooh, I like the design on that wagon. But what I realized, so we would choose teams just for fun. We weren't betting on it at all. And I think the first 3 races, each team that I chose came in third. And I'm like, what the heck? And I said to my friend, I feel like this isn't going well. I feel like I'm like cursing the team that I choose. Like, I need to go afterwards and just apologize. I'm so sorry that you lost. I'm sure that it's my fault. I must have had something to do with it, which I know is silly. And I'm sure you're like, Amy, that doesn't make any sense. But look, if you've ever been in that situation, I'm sure you felt the same way, where you're really hoping your team will win or what have you, and all of a sudden they're losing, and you're like, did I do that? Did I curse it somehow? Now, here was the cool thing. I thought, well, here's a really cool opportunity for me to experiment a little bit, right? Again, we're taking the opportunity. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna actually pick my team and claim the win. So in the 4th heat, I'm like, I'm taking whatever team, like it was the team 2, for example. I'm taking team 2, I'm claiming it for the win. I'm telling you they're going to win right now. And I just believed into it. And like, to my shock, actually, they did. They won. I was so excited. I think I elbowed my friend in the chest. I'm like, oh my gosh, I won. Look, I'm not total curse. So it was such an interesting lesson to have that come through. The next race, I got a bit distracted, and I think I came in 2nd or 3rd again. And I'm like, I need to go back to the strategy on the team that I won. Sure enough, I'm like, I'm going to pick that team. I'm claiming the win right now. I'm saying that team is going to take the win. And that was the only option that I allowed in my mind. And that team went through and won again. So it was really a very cool experience. And my takeaway from that is to set a positive mindset and to claim it. I know it seems so simple where I'm watching a race where I am 100% not invested in any way that really counts other than mentally I'm invested in it, right? Other than that, like I'm not getting any money out of it. It's not going to impact my business in any way, shape, or form. If the team loses, I can just say, oh, well, that was too bad, but away we go. But taking the moment and experimenting with that, setting that positive mindset and then claiming the win, that's a lesson that I'm taking into my business. And it's going to be a lesson that might be a little bit more of a challenge to learn in my business. I'm saying right now, I'm going to claim it that it's going to be easy to take it into my business. And I just want to give you that takeaway as well, to set the positive mindset and claim it as if it's already come true. That one will take a bit of practice, but I know that you can do it. Now, my third takeaway from being at the Chuckwagon races and watching the grandstand show is to be in the now. So again, my personal coach has been coaching me on this, and she's like, Amy, it's like you buy the tickets to go to a concert, but then you're at the concert and you're thinking about, I shouldn't have spent money on this, or I need to be doing this, or I can't be away from my business right now, or what have you. And I'm taking away from the experience because I'm not in the now. So when I went to the Stampede yesterday, literally when I met up with my friend, I'm like, okay, for the rest of the evening, I am in the now. What's happening outside of this isn't really important and doesn't affect me for the next couple of hours. So for the next few hours, I'm going to be in the moment and really fully enjoy being here. And it was such a fun thing because Stampede, so like I said before, it's a complete Western, it's just really a huge party. It's all Western themed. What I love about it, the entire city gets into it. You see everybody walking around with cowboy hats and they wear cowboy boots and everybody's in jeans and like Wrangler shirts and such. So it's really a fun environment to be part of. So when you're at the Stampede, I have a cowboy hat. I will admit, I have my own cowboy hat. I have not yet have bought boots. It just hasn't made sense to me to buy cowboy boots that, can run $300 to wear them for one day a year. Maybe one day down the road, I'll actually get them or do something like those. But when I'm at the Stampede, I'm in it, right? I'm there, I'm smelling the smells, I'm seeing all the people. I love wandering through the barns and seeing the animals. And I want to be in the now because it only comes once a year. And if I miss it, if I'm somewhere else, then I lose out on the experience. So at the end of the night, this is so funny. I didn't even realize that I was doing this. My friend who had hosted me was she's been having a challenge. So she's had some challenges at work and such. And so things have been weighing on her mind. And so when we got there, we talked about it on the way to the Stampede. But once we got there, I'm 100% in what's happening. I'm excited about, I love watching even the equipment move around. Like when they were setting up the stage for the grandstand show, she's like, you want to go do something? I'm like, actually, I find this fascinating. I know I'm a total dork, but I think it's cool to watch how everything gets set up. And so my focus was being 100% in the now and focusing on what's happening on the track right now. What are those people doing? Just being in it. And at the end of the night, she said to me, Amy, I had such a good time. I laughed so hard at you and just, you were just totally in it. I said, well, yeah, because I'm not coming here again till next year. So the takeaway was, and I don't know if I actively realized it at the time. Looking back, I realized how powerful it was to be in the now of the experience, but I will encourage you in your business to be in the now of things. So I know I'm guilty of this too, guys. I'm not saying that I've got it all figured out. By no means have I got it all figured out just yet. Stay tuned. Maybe in 20 or 30 years, I'll have most of it figured out. But I encourage you to be in the now of your business. So if you're meeting with clients, Be present with your clients. Don't keep thinking about all the things that you need to do. Be wholly there. Your clients will notice if you are not 100% checked into their experience. And it doesn't feel good when you're on the other side and the person that you're paying good money for having your time is somewhere else, right? They're mentally checked out. So be in the now when you're working with your clients. Be in the now when you're doing the work of your business. It's so interesting. I aspire to get to the point where I'm making 6, 7, 8 figures a year in my business, if not more. That would be phenomenal. But what I've heard a number of entrepreneurs who've become quite successful is that when they reach the point of being super successful, they look back and go, I miss the days when things were scrappy. I miss the days when I had to figure it all out and, it wasn't all these like team members and meetings and et cetera, et cetera. I miss those days and I didn't appreciate them when I was there. So I would encourage you, wherever you are in your business, be in the now of your business. And even if it's miserable, I get it. I've been there. I know there are days that you're just going through Kleenexes faster than anything because you're like, what the heck am I doing? This must be a total mistake. Even then, be in the moment of it. Allow those feelings to come through you and recognize that they're just emotions, which are energy in motion, and allow those to move through. Be in the now of them because there will come a point where you might look back and go, wow, you know what? In a way, that was a really sweet time, and I wish that I had paid more attention to what was going on at the time. So here's your call from your future self to say, hey, let's be in the now of what's happening right now. Let's enjoy this moment, right? You have the tickets, so enjoy what's going on. My fourth takeaway is really related to, I was thinking about this a lot, related to the accidents that happened on the track. And the takeaway that I have there is to really care for your assets. So I think when a lot of individuals who aren't familiar with the sport or who feel, for whatever reason that it shouldn't be, what have you, what they tend to forget, I think, is that these horses they're not just tools to the business owners, right? They're living, breathing animals. And if you've ever interacted with a horse, you will know they're actually very intelligent. They understand and will read feelings and emotions. It's crazy. But if you ever ride a horse and they will say to you, if you're nervous, the horse will feel it. That blows my mind. So for anybody who's thinking like, well, they're not really that smart, if someone's holding your hand and they feel nervous, can you tell right away if they haven't said anything? If you don't know them very well, like let's say it's a total stranger, they're standing beside you, maybe their shoulder happens to be rubbing yours. Could you tell just from that little bit of contact how they're feeling? Probably not. So it's very cool that horses have that ability to pick that up. I think that's phenomenal. But what others tend to forget is that these horses are more than just a business tool for the owners. They are an asset, right? A horse, to have a horse, it requires a phenomenal financial investment. We're talking feed, we're talking healthcare, like veterinary costs, etc. We're talking housing, we're talking exercise and staff and equipment to move things around. They are not a small investment. It's not like dogs are a significant investment. A horse is way more than that. So from the business standpoint, the business owners are looking at these horses as an investment and they want to take care of them. And to take care of something that is a living, breathing thing, then you need to think past just the numbers. So even though there are accidents that happen on the track, it happens. This year is a perfect example. There's been 3 already. Even though those accidents happen, it's not like the business owners are walking away at the end of the day like, oh, well, whatever, it's not a big deal, we're just down a horse. They look at that as something bigger. So they really care for their assets. They care for these horses. And caring for something like that requires more than just looking at the basics. So here's a little bit of a stretch for you, but here's a great example from my own office. So I take really good care of all of my technology and things. Literally, I have like my 4th or 5th version of my phone ago. It's still in great shape. But I have an orchid. So an orchid like a plant. I won it I got to keep it as a gift from, I was a co-author in a book a few years ago, and at the book launch, there was an orchid on my table and I got to keep it. So I brought it home and I thought, okay, I have no idea how to take care of an orchid, but I know they're not supposed to have a lot of water. So I tried to take care of it carefully and make sure that I didn't overwater it or underwater it. And about a year later, I realized that it was growing a new leaf. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's still alive. All right, so what do I do now? So I checked in. There's a greenhouse not too far from our house, and they're really phenomenal. Every time I go there, they give me great service and fantastic advice, which I love. And they coached me on how to take care of the orchid. And one of the things that they said is that orchids have a happy place. So you might need to move it around the home a few times, leave it, sort of 3 weeks in a place to see if it does anything. If it doesn't, keep moving it around until it finds a happy place. And you'll know that it's in a happy place because it will start to grow. So I thought, okay. And they said, north-facing windows are perfect. Great. My office is north-facing. Let's start with that window. So I put the orchid in my office window. Guys, it is now in its third bloom. And if you've ever had an orchid, you're probably thinking, it's impossible. Once they bloom once, then they die and that's it. Not true. But here's the really cool thing. I checked in with the greenhouse again about a week ago. I was going there for a rose bush that I had bought that didn't do so well. I'm like, all right, I'm doing something wrong here. Help me out. And I let them know, look, you guys gave me some really great advice about this orchid. And now it's in its third bloom. And at that point, I had 7 blossoms that had already opened and 5 more that were coming. I'm looking at it right now, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blossoms and 4 more that are on their way. And the greenhouse owner said to me, you are doing very well. That is a very happy orchid. It must really love you. It must really love where it is, because they don't grow if they're unhappy. And if the energy around them isn't positive, they won't grow. So that is a huge indicator that I'm taking care of things, right? I'll talk to it a little bit. I'll say hello in the morning. And I understand you're thinking, Amy, this has nothing to do with your business. It might not, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. I'm sure you've heard that before. So something like a living, growing, organic item like my orchid is a great indicator of how things are going in me. So when I am focused on growth, when I am positively focused on things and I'm looking for abundance. And again, the beautiful thing about the orchid is that it brings me back to the idea of setting your positive mindset and claiming it, where when I was doing it yesterday at the track, I wasn't super invested, right? So I'm not putting a whole bunch of heaps of expectations on it. My orchid is a perfect example of it. I want it to bloom, and I just love all over it, and I do my best to take care of it as much as I know how, but I have no expectation from it. I don't expect it to perform in any way, shape, or form. And then when it does, when I have, 3 strands of blooms that are popping open, I'm just in full celebration. It's an amazing thing to be able to see this plant growing and thriving, and because there's no expectation, I'm just 100% in the moment of it, like, wow. And I'm showing it off to people, and I'm talking about it to my boyfriend. I'm like, babe, look at my flower. It's doing so good. So that's a huge takeaway that I would love for you to really understand and take into your business, and really in all avenues of your life, to take care of your assets. So again, those Chuckwagon drivers, the business owners, they take care of their animals because they're an asset in their business. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're noticing that there are things that are lacking, now I understand that sometimes we have, our time and attention is taken away by other things. For example, our floors need a wash in the worst way, and there just hasn't been time in the calendar to do it yet. But that doesn't mean that they won't get washed. And when they do, they get fully cleaned through. Like the floors at the end of the day, I can Jerry Maguire across the kitchen because they get so slick actually when we clean them, which is maybe why I don't clean them that often or I'd break a leg. But when I do focus on it, then I do it like I do everything else. I give it my full time and attention, and I make sure I do a really good job. So take care of your assets and keep in mind that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. All right? All right, my fifth and final takeaway from my Chuckwagon races, the grandstand show, the whole experience that I had at the Calgary Stampede yesterday is to have fun with it. Now, I went in again. I had no expectation of what it was going to be. I had no expectation of where we were going to be sitting. I thought we'd be sitting. As it turned out, we were standing, which was cool. That was fine. It was a lot of standing. I think we stood for like 3 or 4 hours, which was a lot. But here's the really cool thing. I realized this afterwards because I wasn't really paying that much attention in terms of like our specific location. I didn't know how everything was set up, so I didn't know where we needed to be. But it turned out we were in the perfect spot. There's a number of camera stands that are around because they're filming the races and they're filming the audience, etc. We happened to be right beside a camera stand, which meant that there was nobody behind us or to one side of us because that's where the camera was. And behind us was actually security personnel, which is fantastic. So there's nobody bumping into me from behind. And immediately in front of us, because we were lined up with this camera stand, was basically a traffic way. So people would be walking back and forth. And that meant that there wasn't a crowd of people right in front of me. So we had this amazing spot that we just happened into. And it was centered perfectly on the stage for the grandstand show. And they have acts that come in, like do acrobatics, and they have things that come in on the high wires up above, and they literally went right over our heads. Like we had to take our cowboy hats off because we couldn't see where they had gone to. They disappeared above us. It was such an amazing, completely by accident happenstance. I loved 100% everything that was going on. I had the biggest smile on my face the whole evening. I was yahooing away with, all the rest. I was getting super into the Chuckwagon races. So when my wagon would win, I'm like jumping up and down, and I'm sure I landed a couple of elbows into my poor friend's chest, the poor thing. She might have a few bruises today and be like, I'm not doing this again with Amy unless I'm wearing an armored vest. But I was totally into it, and I had so much fun doing it. And the glory of it is because I was 100% in the now, because I had set that positive mindset and was just focused on what was happening around me. I had such a good time. Like, if you can't hear it, I still have a smile from ear to ear, and it was a short night. When the alarm went out this morning, I'm like, ooh. All right, 6:30 came a little early this morning, especially when you get into bed at like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm most grateful that today is Friday, actually, because today's Friday. I have an easier day planned, which is glorious. I have no idea how I work that into my schedule, but I have an easier day planned. And then I have the weekend to myself. So I'm kind of stoked, guys. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm excited about sleeping in, hanging out, having coffee and a relaxed breakfast in the morning, and then hitting the gym a couple of times. But my takeaway here is that I was having fun with everything that was going on. I was in it, right? I'm there in my cowboy hat. I'm yahooing away. I'm cheering the team on. I'm enjoying the show to the full. And I'm not apologizing at all for the things that I loved. So what was interesting to me as we were leaving, my friend, because she volunteers, she's there almost every day. And so she often hosts a friend to take them to the grandstand show. And she said to me, she hasn't yet actually stayed through the whole show. And so she said, if you want to leave a bit early, we can do that. I don't often stay till the end. And I said, without any hesitation, oh, I'm staying till the end. Because at the end is the fireworks. Like, you would have to drag me kicking and screaming out of there to be like, we're leaving early, we're not staying for the fireworks. That's okay. I'll walk home from here, right? I want to be here. That is my favorite part. There's no way that I'm going to miss it. So as we were leaving, she's like, first of all, she says, I'm not doing that again where we're standing for 4 hours. I need to sit down in between because it was really hard on my back, which I understand. And then the other thing that she said is, I love that you just claimed it. You're like, no, I'm here till the end. That's how it's going to be. And she's like, okay, we're here to the end. And that also allowed her to enjoy it a bit more as well, right? Think about if you have kids is a perfect example. If you have kids and they're doing something that they're totally loving, then you get caught up in their joy and excitement as well. And because I was just focused on being in the now and having as much fun with what was going on as I could, I wasn't worried about what other people were thinking. I wasn't worried about, am I doing the right thing or saying the right thing or standing the right way? Does someone think I look okay? Or, I didn't care. I was having a pile of fun. And my focus is going to be to bring that into my businesses as well, to look at, okay, what am I doing right now? And how can I have fun with this right now? It ties into the whole, being in the now. How can I have fun with this? So I encourage you to have a look at your business, and whether it's your day-to-day operations, whether it's meeting with your clients, whatever it is, have some fun with it. One of the things that I talk about with my design clients, especially the new ones, those have worked with me a few times. They know what I bring already. They know that I don't take myself too seriously. I don't take my work too seriously. It's not that I don't think, I've talked about this in the podcast. I believe in delivering incredible value. That was in our last podcast episode. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it after this one's finished. But when I'm there, I'm not all serious. I don't have a big attitude of, I'm this fancy designer person and I need to be this certain way. No, I show up as myself, and one of my core values is to have fun. So when I meet with new clients, I'll start cracking some jokes and they kind of look at me like, are we supposed to be joking about this? Heck yeah, we are, because look, life is meant to be enjoyed. Just because we're doing serious work and just because I'm providing you with a professional service does not mean that we can't enjoy our process and our time together. So I strive to have fun in my business. I will admit I've probably made more than one inappropriate joke where it's been like, ooh, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. I apologize. But for the most part, people understand. They're like, she's just having a good time and she didn't mean anything inappropriate by it, even though sometimes it comes out the wrong way. So there you have it, guys. There's my 5 takeaways from the Chuckwagon races and the grandstand show at the Calgary Stampede yesterday. And I'm just going to run them down real quick again because I want you to really take these in and look at how you can apply them into your business. So the first one is to take the opportunities given. And remember, taking the opportunity given means that you just take it, you receive it. You don't need to do anything to be deserving of it. You don't need to repay it in any way, shape, or form. Just be open, receive the opportunity, and take advantage of it. Number 2 is to set a positive mindset and to claim it, right? Just like how I claimed the winner on those Chuckwagon races, set the positive mindset for the outcome that you want to have, and then release your need to heap expectation onto the outcome. I'm going to be reminding myself of this every time I look at my orchid. Remind myself, look, Amy, we can do everything we want to everything possible to achieve the outcome that we want, and then I need to just let it go, right? The outcome is really outside of my control, and I need to be okay with that. So that's something that I'm going to be practicing in my business. Number 3 is to be in the now. Remember, enjoy the moment. Enjoy where you are right now. Even if that place feels really miserable, just enjoy where you are right now because you won't be here again, very likely. And there's a good chance that there's things happening right now that you're missing. Some really fun opportunities that are happening that you're missing because you're just focused on, I just want to get to the next stage. So I encourage you to be in the now, in both in your life and in your business. Be in the now in what you're doing. Number 4 is to take care of your assets. And this is true of all things. So I'm not just talking about your vehicle or your computer or, tools that you need to have specifically for your business. Think of your assets. Your clients are a huge asset, which means you need to take care of them, right? You can't just take your client to the mechanic shop and be like, all right, can you fix it? Something's wrong here. Your job as the business owner is to take care of them. And a quick reminder, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you know that you want to grow a big profitable business. And in order to do that, you need to take care of your assets. You need to take care of what you've got. And that includes your clients. So number 4 is to take care for your assets. And number 5 is to have fun with it. enjoy the process. Have fun, be really into it, make jokes, keep it light. Whether fun is a core value of yours or not isn't really the point, but it is so important for you to have fun in what you're doing. All right, change makers, there you have it. There's my 5 takeaways from the Chuckwagon races and the Calgary Stampede. Now, I invite you, as always, to join me over on Instagram at @IDareToBegin. I would love to hear your takeaways from today's podcast episode. So please just grab the most recent post on my feed, comment on the feed on the picture itself, and just say, "Hey, Amy, I was listening to I think this is episode 27 already. So I was listening to episode 27. I loved what you said about this, or I totally disagree with you about whatever." I'm open to both. All right. So you can find me over on Instagram. If you have questions, if you want some input or insight, whatever, you can always DM me on Instagram as well. Again, my Instagram handle is @IDareToBegin. All right. So I look forward to meeting you over on the Instagrams. And finally, I would encourage you, if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, then I would encourage you to head on over to daretobegin.net/blog, which sounds funny because this is a podcast, but that's the URL right now as it stands on my website provider, and subscribe to the podcast because you'll get the podcast directly in your email. And you'll get extra special little insights that I only include in the email. You don't get them anywhere else. So again, you can subscribe at daretobegin.net/blog. All right, change makers, I wish you a phenomenal week. I'm sending you a big yeehaw and have a fantastic rest of the day. So looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.